Hi guys! In today's video, I'm going to be adding too much into slime and I really hope that you enjoy it. I've seen so many cool videos on Instagram at the moment with these cool little syringes. I decided to do some pigment ones because I love when the pigments move about. It just looks so cool. But the idea of this is that you get a mold of any shape, you put some clear glue in it, and then you add it to a really concentrated batch of borax water. And first up, I want to say this borax water irritated my hands. I've had to moisturize them like 6 times today. It's not a good time, so I don't recommend trying this at home. And it also doesn't work very well. It was super hard to do. I wanted to get really cool cat ones, which is why I bought this cat mold. And the only way I could get it to work is when I had a slime that was kind of already formed on the bottom, and it was really hard. I didn't find it went cool, shiny, and clear like the other glues that I've seen on all the Instagram videos. And also because the water was so concentrated, it turned into slime. And it didn't really have a liquid center. It was just slime all the way through. So it was so hard to distribute color throughout, and I just really didn't enjoy this. So I decided that it was time to move on to the next method, and this is adding too many magnets. I decided to add iron filings because I wanted to add something that would be added to the slime and not change the texture so much that it doesn't still look like slime, and I wanted to add it to a really pretty slime so it stayed gorgeous. But you know what this did? This ruined the color of my slime. You couldn't see the pigment at all. I had to add a whole nother slime to this to even get a tiny bit of pigment through. Also, I don't know if you guys should try this at home. I don't know how safe this method is. I was thinking about it when I was doing it. I hadn't done much research. This is purely for entertainment purposes, not to try at home. I repeat, not to try at home. But like you can see here, the slime got really thick. It was like I added loads of borax, but the only thing I added was the magnets, and the coolest thing was this thing. It looks like it's going into a black hole. I don't know where the slime is going, but I love how alive the slime looked when I was playing with it with the magnetic ball. It was just chasing it everywhere. It was really fun to do. I think in the future, if I were to do this again, or like at least try it again, I would have to use a really sticky slime because this was so thick, it was very hard to work with. Next up, we're going to be adding too many iPhones into slime, and don't worry, these iPhones do not work. I got them off eBay. I'm pretty sure they're just dummy phones, but these are so fun to add in because they have this really cool non-stick surface. So when you add the slime on, it's really easy to get it off. And also, I thought this slime worked so well with the phones. It looked so beautiful when it was moving over it. Everything just glistened and it was so glossy. Like my previous videos though, it was very hard to poke the Apple products into the slime just because they're so big. So what I decided to do was just take it out and play with it outside. And again, there wasn't much you could do apart from poke it until I had the genius idea of using the iPhones for hands. And instead of poking it with my fingers, I was poking it with the actual phones. And this was really fun to do. It actually created really nice sounds as well. So I was really quietly impressed with myself. Next up, I decided to add too much perfume into slime. My inspiration behind this was definitely that people always ask me why they can't just put their sprays into slime, and I always thought because it had alcohol in it, you just couldn't do this. So I decided to put it to a test with a really old perfume. This is probably about 8 years old, so super old, and I added the whole bottle. I think it was 30 milliliters, and when I got to the bottom, I was like, this is definitely gonna melt, and I did definitely feel it get a bit more sticky when I added the second batch, but then all of a sudden, it didn't go sticky. I don't know if this is because it was a butter slime, so maybe the clay kind of acted as a gelling agent and didn't make it melt, but it was so weird. It stayed pretty much the exact same. It just changed in the scent. It could be that a lot of the alcohol's evaporated because it's been such a long time, but I was so shocked that this didn't melt. Next up, we're going to be adding too many Orbeez to water slime, and this was a really fun one. I decided to add loads to this really small batch. This was 0.5 liters, and like you can see, it didn't work. It just had way too many balls to actually like expand, so I decided to add it to this huge 3 liter one next, and I let it sit overnight. The most interesting thing to me was definitely how much this grew, but also the texture it made the slime. All of the liquid, all of the moisture was taken out of it completely and distributed to the Orbeez, and all of them grew, all of them were a really nice texture, but the slime itself, I've never felt a slime like this. It's not like it was over borax, it was just dehydrated. That's the only way to describe it. Adding too many contact lenses was so fun, but also so soul destroying because I didn't know what to expect. I've never ever tried contact lenses, so for me, I was just kind of like, these are going to be really crunchy, they're going to create a really cool effect, when in reality, they did look pretty, but they didn't do much more than a glitter would. They didn't have any effect on the slime whatsoever, they didn't melt it, make it harder, change the texture at all, it just kind of stayed in suspension, which was cool, but it was not worth the money I spent on it. I was really disappointed for what it was. Chalk ASMR is a really big thing on Instagram at the moment, so I decided to try it myself. This is actually really hard. You had to soak the chalk to make it kind of like okay to cut, and then when you're cutting up, it was quite hard to like cut them all satisfyingly because they all move about. But then I added my slime in. It was just a basic white slime, and it made really nice crunching sounds. It kind of felt like when you're mixing like a bath bomb in, had a bit of sizzle to it. I did find it melted down weirdly enough. I don't know what causes it to melt down because it's literally just chalk. I was so excited to try adding too much eyelash glue just because it's really expensive to buy eyelash glue, but I always wondered if it was made of the same thing. I know on the box it said latex, but it acts in a really similar way to PVA glue. It's just a bit more stringy. So I was like, this is probably going to be best for slime. So I decided to make it in the normal way. I added some borax in, stirred it up, and I left it out because it didn't work. So I was just throwing a strop and I was like, nothing's gone right today. I'm just going to leave it and I'll clear up tomorrow. And I actually ended up clearing up like 3 days later. And when I picked it up, I was like, oh my goodness, it kind of turned into slime. This is really cool. And it looked a lot cooler when I just like first saw it in the bowl. When I took it out, the only way to describe it is feeling it like, it looks like chewing gum. It feels like chewing gum, but it also feels very like an elastic plastic thing. Just, I don't like this. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I didn't include too much ASMR in it. It's just because my mic ran out of battery, so I didn't realize it wasn't filming a lot of it, which really sucks. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!